Hey ladies, welcome to the Her Sacred Place channel. I know I haven't seen you in a while, but by the title of this video, you know what we're already going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about how your diet may or may not be affecting your period. I know there are some people where it's outliers. Some people may say, well, I do this and I don't fall in that category, or I do this and I don't fall into that category, or I don't do this and I do fall into this category. But from my experience, I see a lot of people on a monthly or a weekly basis. I see all kind of different women from all kind of different backgrounds who are battling all kind of different problems. But one thing that's always consistent is that whenever I decide to take on a client in my program to help them get to a much healthier sacred place, or to help them get their womb to a healthier state through the art of vaginal steaming, I always have to know what your diet is like, because depending on what your diet is like, you're going to counteract everything that I'm telling you to do. So, and we'll talk more about that in later videos, especially on videos when it comes to fibroids, because you have to, if you are prone to fibroids, like some women are, there's just some things you just should not have in your diet, or you're going to keep getting them back. But that's not the purpose of this video. Let me know if you want me to talk about that later. But for today's video, over the last couple of weeks or so, I've been getting a lot of calls about consultations from women who want to talk about how bad their periods are. And it's like the doctors are saying, or they're contemplating get a hysterectomy or getting rid of their sacred place just for a bad period, which everybody who steams knows that all you have to do is steam 1 or 2 times and your period changes for the better. Let me know in the comments if you've ever visited Her Sacred Place and what happened to your period after you did vaginal steaming. After 1 steam, 2 steams, 3 steams, or whatever. Let me know what happened after you tried vaginal steaming and what happened with your period. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. When I ask women, okay, what is your diet like? They're like, well, that doesn't have anything to do with my period. Wrong. Your diet, or the food that you put in your body, not only affects your mental health, it affects your physical health, and more importantly for us, it definitely affects your womb health. There's just certain things that if you're a bad eater and you're just eating burgers and steaks and all kind of meat and all of this every day, your period will be indicative of that. And in today's video, I want to tell you what I typically want to run through with women, from the worst to the best periods, based on the women that I have seen and the women who have talked to me about how their periods are. So let's start. We're here in America. In the typical American diet, let's just say you're a particular woman who doesn't watch what she eats, is not health conscious at all, makes a lot of bad decisions, eats a lot of fast food, doesn't really cook much, doesn't really care, just eats the typical fast food. You're eating a lot of McDonald's, a lot of burgers, a lot of KFC, you're just eating very unhealthy. Whether you know it or not, you're just very, very unhealthy. Typically, those women tend to have periods that are at least 7 days. Most of these women have 10-day periods, but their periods are at least 7 days. It's an entire week, and it's bleeding heavy for an entire week, complete from day 1 all the way up to day 7, day 10, day 12. They're just bleeding, bleeding, bleeding. It's just a lot of blood flow. These women also tend to have very, very, very painful, clotty, cramping periods. It's like these are the women I see that have the worst periods. It's the women who don't watch their diets at all. And for the most part, they kind of just eat more unhealthy, or I would say 90% or more of their diet is unhealthy eating. A lot of starches, a lot of fast food, a lot of fried foods, and things like that. Those women tend to have the worst periods that I deal with. Then, as we go forward, let's just say you're a woman where you eat unhealthy occasionally, but you also watch what you eat. So yes, I may go to McDonald's today, or I may eat Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's or whatever restaurant. I'm not calling anyone out in particular. I'm just thinking of a fast food restaurant. You may eat that occasionally once or twice a week, but for the most part, you tend to make some healthy decisions. You may cook your food rather than eating a lot of processed foods. You may decide to fix a fresh meal rather than more so than eating processed meals. So basically, maybe your health is more about 75 to 80% healthy, and the other 25% is more so unhealthy choices. Those women tend to have periods that are between the 5 to 7 days. Their period still lasts up to a week, but they tend to have that trickle bleeding where their period kind of lags before it goes off. Like, you may bleed 4 or 5 days, but then your period just drops or just spots for 3 or 4 days. And typically they may have cramping for 2 days, maybe 3 days out of their full period, but they don't cramp the entire time. Their blood flow is moderate, but not overly entirely heavy or anything like that. And it's just like, yes, I have bad periods, but I can deal with it. It's not as bad. Just like, yes, I eat bad food, but not all the time, or not majority of the time. Their period usually reflects what's going on with their diet. Then as we move down, let's talk about our more health conscious people, where majority of their food they may eat fast food, processed food, frozen foods, things like that, TV dinners, whatever, bad. I would call that bad food for you. They may eat those type of things maybe once or twice a month. For the most part, they're packing lunches, they're eating a lot of fruits and veggies, they're cooking their own food so that they're eating a lot of non-processed foods. Those women typically have better periods, and their periods only last about 4 days, 5 days top. Usually little to no pain, very, very bright red blood flow, a little to no cramping. They may experience cramping a couple hours during one day, but for the most part, their period just comes 4 or 5 days or so, goes on about its business, doesn't really impact their life, which is what we call really a healthy period in America. There are different other cultures whose periods are a little bit different, but for the sake of America, I'm just talking to my specific population. That's typically what we at Her Sacred Place call a healthy period, where you're having little to no pain at all, bright red blood the entire time, and your period is going to last about 4 days, 5 days top. But even if you see blood on the 5th day, it's kind of just going off. It's not really a flow anymore. It's just spotting at that point. So, and typically that's indicative of those women who, for the most part, live a healthy eating lifestyle, but they may also make some bad decisions here and there. Now, moving on to my women with better than healthy periods, or I wouldn't say better than healthy, but better than average is what I should say in America. Better than average periods includes, my first group I would have to say is those that are vegetarians. Typically, my vegetarians are a lot more starch eaters. They eat a lot of vegetables, but they also eat a lot of carbs and starches also. And what I typically find with them is that their period still lasts the 4 to 5 days with the moderate to heavy flow, but it's not uncomfortable or anything. But these women typically don't have period cramps. They don't have any clotting during their period, and they typically don't experience cramping sensation or pain during the period. So that's something that changed from those that may eat unhealthy, but they still eat meat and may eat fast food occasionally or unhealthy food occasionally, as opposed to those who are vegetarian. Their period days tend to be the same length, but their pain, they don't typically have any type of pain when it comes to their period or anything like that. And then, well, not last, because I have 2 more categories based on the population of women that I see or I consult with often. We're going to go on to our vegans, which is a popular term nowadays. Everybody is becoming vegan, and everybody is becoming this, and everybody is becoming that. My vegans typically don't. My vegans periods typically last about 3 days tops. It's not even a heavy blood flow or a medium blood flow. It's really a light blood flow. They basically can wear like a regular daily pad, or some of them can even wear just a panty liner while their period is on because their blood flow isn't heavy at all. They have zero pain. They report no pain during their period, and it lasts about 3 days. So they have a really, and some of them don't even last 3 days. Some of them are 2 days. Some of them are a day and a half. It kind of just depends on how strict of a vegan there are and how much food that they're intaking. But they have really, really light periods with little to no blood flow. Like I said, some of them report, oh, I don't even need a pack of pads, LaQuinta. I can just buy a pack of panty liners from you and my period is good like that. So that's typically how my vegans work. And last but not least, because I do have 3 clients who are fruitarians. That means that they simply don't eat anything except fruits. No vegetables, no starches, no meats, no anything. They are on a strict fruit-only diet, similar to what you guys may have already known that Steve Jobs was on. So these women, periods don't even last. They last like a day and a half. Basically, when it's that time of the month, they'll spot for a couple of hours and then it's gone. No pain, no cramping, no nothing. Basically, it just comes on for a couple hours, a really, really light flow, see a little bit of blood, and then it's gone again to next month just for a couple hours. So I wanted to come on and make this video because I want you to know how important it is that your diet may be affecting your feminine health or your period in general. And so when I consult with these women and I tell them, okay, these are changes that you have to make to get you to a nice healthy state, as well as I do my part. Because if you're consulting with me and I put you on this plan to come help you embrace your sacred place, but you're not doing what you need to do on the outside, whereas you're still eating, for breakfast, you're eating gas station pizza. For lunch, you're eating Zaxby's. For dinner, for a snack, you may eat some chips and soda. And then for dinner, you're eating some other fast food restaurant. Or you may say, I'm going to have Mexican, Italian, Chinese, whatever for dinner. If you're doing that 7 days a week, not only your feminine, not only is your feminine health suffering, but also your physical health is suffering, and maybe, just maybe, even your mental health may be suffering because of the food that you're putting into your body. So I wanted to come on here. I wanted to keep this video below 15 minutes and just chat with you guys about that. So let me know in the comments below, how is your period and what kind of diet do you have, so that I can see how your diet relates. And if you want to hear how mine is, just leave a comment below and I'll let you know how my diet is and how my periods typically are. But until next time, remember to embrace your sacred place. And if you want to consult with me or learn more about how vaginal steaming can help you on your journey to a nice, healthier womb, feel free to text or call me at 803-997-0841 or shoot me an email about what's going on in your life at hersacredplace@gmail.com. All right, ladies. Bye. Until next time.